Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to a Lyceum evening, coming to you from the Paul Spiritualist Church, and we're down on the south coast of the UK. Sorry, I'm just getting just a new message up. It's all right. Our platform StreamYard keep adding things, and they're putting messages in odd places. Anyway, enough of that. Welcome. Nice to be here. Had a very busy day today. There's a big MBS event on at the local arts centre. The yearly event organised by the wonderful Elaine Fenton. She also organises the Healing Weekend, which is out in the open. So everything's intense, and there's camping grounds and all sorts. Wonderful lady, brilliant worker, organises really well. Very good supporter of the church. Thank you, Elaine. So that allowed our healers to work their magic today and tomorrow. And also the mediums associated with the church, they presented a 1-hour demonstration there today, which was really well attended. They came up and they said, God, we have to keep bringing out chairs. So lovely. But it was a very long day. And I thought, shall I do a Lyceum? No, yes, no, yes, no, yes, yes one, hurrah. And I'm thinking, right, what can I talk about? And a message popped up from a very dear friend, lovely Mark Stone. I just said to him, I'm not quite sure what to talk about tonight. And I'd already had a little thought, and Mark said the thought that I'd had unshared with him. So I thought, oh, okay, we'll go with that then. So it is about, I'll just bring his comment up again because he wrote it so well. Tra-la-la, talk amongst yourselves. Growing the communion and reaching out beyond the church doors. Ooh, must wind that clock up. And that's really true, because I just did have that little thought. It's been, as I said, very busy day, a lot of very interesting people there, different exhibitors, different demonstrators, which is all wonderful. But it was the people attending. Now, I've said before often, we do, and I'm sure other movements, I'm sure other organisations, whatever, have this same thing. But we are talking about in spiritualism. A quick hello there, lovely Jodie, hello darling, and Patrick, good evening, sir. But we do have this thing in spiritualism. I mean, I was brought up with this. People saying, oh, we've got to get the youngsters in. And it's only in the last 4 or 5 years since I've, it's longer than that now, 7 years, goodness me, since I've been running Paul Church, that I've been looking at what we say in our language, because a lot of things we say, a lot of things we repeat, it's not handed down. We heard it from our peers in the early days, and now we're repeating it as peers to those around us in today's world. And I think it's healthy to actually look at what we're saying. Excuse me, I'll just get a little lozenge in here. Thank you. I think it's very healthy to sort of look at our practices. This is a thing in business. Not many of you probably know this. I've got various backgrounds, an awful lot in the leisure industry, bars, clubs, hotels, restaurants. But in my later years, I was working on the railways, working in an engineering depot. New people coming in from college and bringing in new ideas. And I find that a really positive influence. And I could see there were a lot of the old-time managers really got stuck in their ways about things and just wouldn't entertain any of the new ideas. But one young lad came in, nice guy, and he was talking about continual improvement. And it's a very in-depth subject if you want to take it apart bolt by bolt. But it was very interesting that the premise of this continual development, continual improvement, is you would take 3 or 4 functions, 3 or 4 things that you do. And there'd be a small group of you, no more than 5, preferably 3, who knew what that form and function was about. And they would look at it and go, well, ask the questions, is it still applicable today? Is technology or different work practices going to be able to improve upon that, adapt upon it? Is it still fit for purpose, basically? And I find that quite interesting because, especially on the railways, good God, some people were dinosaurs, they really were. I had a chat every time we had a delivery of sand in, we'd go and put it in a certain place on the depot, and I kept saying, why do you put it there? That's where we do the sanding. Sanding is on the trains, they use it to prevent wheel slip. And I said, but they don't berth the trains there anymore. They haven't done for the last 5 years. They berth them in the shed. Yeah. So why are you putting the sand down there? Because that's where we do the sand, And I can mirror some of this into what I see, feel, and experience within spiritualism. Elspeth, good evening. Belinda, lovely Matt, hello. I can mirror some of these things into the movement of spiritualism. The one thing that I've often said about this, we've got to get the youngsters in. We've got to get the youngsters in. And looking at it through that lens of, continual improvement, development, can we work smarter, whatever. The one thing that always stuck out to me was without intention, but there was this arrogance in saying, we've got to get them to come in to us. It's like, you've got to come and see me. And I've always been very much one of saying, well, actually, no, you get off your backside and go out and meet people on neutral ground. And today has been such a wonderful reminder of that. Good evening, Anne. Welcome. It's been a really good reminder of meeting people on this neutral territory. One thing I really did notice, and I found this quite interesting, I had a lot of inquiries about the church, a lot of compliments, which was wonderful. People said, oh yeah, we watched your services and things. Oh, well, that's great, that's wonderful to hear. But people are looking at development and asking questions about development, but only about a quarter of them were asking specifically for mediumship development. The other 3/4, there was various inquiries there about healing, learning the art of healing, learning how to develop their own healing. Psychic was probably the dominant topic. People were asking about psychic development, which I found fascinating. So it was a real eye-opener, because I know this. But it was a really good reminder for me of the importance of taking the church out to people, meeting people. Now, I'm not, and hopefully you do notice this, is we see some streams and podcasts and it's very easy to get enmeshed in the negatives. Oh, well, churches aren't the same, the mediums aren't the same, we had wonderful medium. We get into this negative groove. And I always say with negative energy, I always find it a very lazy energy. We can all find fault. I can find fault up there. Look, I've moved all my alcohol. I have a big cabinet full of it over there now. I've got a bar. Anyway, we can always find something negative. It actually takes a little bit of work, thinking, and thought to bring about the positive thing. And I do like the positive conversations. You know, anybody can sit there and, you know, oh yeah, well, back in the day we had, you know, Gordon Higginson, he was an astounding medium. Yes, he was. He was. And do you not think he would want today's mediums to be even more astounding? Never thought of it that way, because I think he would. Hello, lovely Elspeth. And Marion, hello, darling. Lovely to see you. I'll see your comment there, Elspeth. I'll get to that in just a sec. So, yeah, this thing about we've got to get the young in. If we go out and make that effort to go and meet people on this neutral ground, there is partly the element of the word church. I get that. I understand that. I don't agree with it myself, personally. I do, depending on my mood, if how flippant I am on the flipometer. Somebody says, oh, I never go into church. And I wonder why? Would it burst into flames? I get that. I do get that. But today, just again, it really underlined that difference in meeting people. I communicated on a whole different level today, and I thought that was wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. There was great people. We had a good laugh, you know, like a laugh. But really earnest inquiries and a really good age range as well. Really good. That really stuck out. There's a couple of young ladies today really stuck out to me because they were earnestly asking actually very simple questions and looking for direction. And that was just wonderful. So we go to a comment. Elspeth, inability to change is so life restricting. Let's get that up there. I'm not great with change. None of us are, Elspeth. Change is good as long as it's well planned, organised, and doesn't happen. But that's due to my health condition. Sorry to hear that, darling. It is hard to change. It is hard to change. And we get comfortable, don't we? I do it. I pick myself up, and sometimes it's pointed out to me, but we get into a groove and it's comfy. But do you know what? In spiritualism, the active side of spiritualism is always pushing us, or has the ability to push us out of these comfort zones, to expand, to grow. You know, a very common thing I hear people say is, oh, I'm looking for the truth. And when I hear that phrase, the truth, I'm always very mindful and gentle and bring it in and saying, well, the thing is, you'll find a truth today, which will ask you 20 questions tomorrow, which the day after, when you've answered those 20 questions, that truth has now actually changed. So, you know, I always think we find that moment, that epiphany, that explanation of things. But as far as finding the truth, that's going to be forever. And that's absolutely wonderful. But yeah, it was just, as I say, it was fascinating today to meet so many people on that neutral ground and to connect on a whole different level. It really was. Hello, lovely Ashley. Good evening. Yes, we had a wonderful day today at the Lighthouse. Thank you. And that will be another wonderful day tomorrow, hopefully. Yeah, it will be. It will be. So thank you for asking. But yes, it's something that's very close to my heart about keeping and creating and building those links within our community. There was a very sad post came up recently about one church had donated to an organisation, and the organisation turned them down on religious grounds. And I'm pleased to say that was chased up and furthered on, and that was rescinded. But we have that in our own movement, do we not? We have certain areas of our movement that are not open to people if you are of, what was it? Not non-conformist, something like that religion. You know what? That's in spiritualism. That's sad, but that's the way things are done. That's the way things are done, and that's fine. But bringing spiritualism today's world, there's a big, horrible world out there on every level. On our personal level, we're challenged, on our social level, financial level, mental health level, all sorts. And the world is in turmoil. But we have this wonderful, I won't say knowledge, I would say experience. You know, when we have a message, when we get those wonderful, beautiful communications that come through, and the level of detail sometimes that they're in, that comes through with that, can we not expand that? Can we not start to have these conversations with Spirit about, you know, what do you think of today's world? Where do you think we're going? Any tips for, you know, helping me navigate that, what's outside that window? We have ample opportunity for that, but we tend not to take up on it. We do have this thing about prophecy or fortune telling. Sorry, I've got a cat here, by the way. You can't see her, but she's just there. We have this thing about prophecy and fortune telling. We're not allowed to tell the future, yada, yada, yada. Gordon Higginson, every new year, used to do his trance address for the year upcoming. And the thing with prophecy, it's not, as we've seen with, like, who was her name? Baba Yang. She did a lot of prophecy work. It's not precise. It's not right. July 14th, there is going to be X happening. That's very fixed. That's very, you know, that is saying, right, on that day, on that time, that will happen. In a lot of instances, that can bring in a lot of foreboding. It can also change our life paths. It can also affect what we do here and now in this world. My understanding, and feel free to differ, absolutely fine. I should just block you. I won't. My understanding is, you know, we've always got this free will, but we do get inklings. We do get little subtle hints. I mean, if we take spiritual mediumship, evidential mediumship as we understand it today, if we go back thousands of years, many tribes, especially like Greece and Rome, they all had seers. They all had these seers, and they were very highly revered. And they wouldn't say that, you know, this is going to happen then, that's going to happen then. But they would allude, that's a nice word, isn't it? Allude, I like that word. Allude to a time of famine is coming, or a time of drought is coming, or a time of flood is coming. And in that generalization, that allow people in their own way to make ready for that. Rather than sitting there going, oh my God, she said on the 1st of April, you know, we're going to have a massive flood. So I've really got to rush and get this all done by the 1st of April. It was just giving you that little bit of guidance. And guidance is something that we sometimes overlook from the other world. But that's a very fine line as well. Because there's a very fine line with spirit guidance and the medium's opinion of you. Because let's face it, we all do it. We see somebody, and within a minute, we've already constructed something about that person. Oh, they look a bit hard. Yeah, oh no, I'm not sure about that. Oh yeah, they're lovely. And we've already put that character, that persona overlaid this person who's just walked into our lives. But when we link that back with the prophecy side, it's not doing that. It's just allowing that room for growth, that room for expansion, that room for thought. All right. So for this year, I nearly said it's time of flooding, but I'm too late with that. It's already happening. But this year, we could go on, say something. This year, we could be looking at famine. We could be looking at food shortages. We could be looking at these things. That seed, excuse the pun, has been sown then, and people will do their own things according to their own state of mind and wherever they are in a place to start to put foundations in, to start to prepare. But then when we switch over and just say, right, on the 1st of June, this is going to happen, this induces a panic and a fear. And do you know what? All my dealings with spirit, most of my dealings with spirit, there hasn't been a fear there. There's been a couple of instances where I've met some of the lesser educated energies, which initially was like, oh, I'm really not comfortable with this. But put that aside. The spirit don't bring in things to bring fear. But if, they just gently coax you, they just gently advise. Go through some of the comments because they're coming in thick and fast, which is wonderful. Ashley, hello, sir. Elspeth, what are we saying here? My experience is it's mostly the young who voice their interest in everything spiritual. Right, I'll start that again. I'm so sorry, I was misreading it. My experience is it's mostly the young who voice their interest in everything spiritual. I love chatting with anybody regarding my beliefs in my journey and my love of spirits connection. But it's the youth who are much more open-minded. I feel the young are looking for more in their lives. Really true. Yeah, really true. Because don't forget, every generation now is leading a different life in a way. Because our generational influences make us look at this world totally different. A very different perception. So, yeah, the young. I mean, I'm hearing the language amongst much younger people. And this is another thing. When we say getting the young in, it depends how old you are. Because now, if somebody about 40 comes in, I'm saying they're a youngster. But I am hearing in the language of teens around that area. We'll go for that area. They talk about things. Oh, it's got a great vibe there. Oh, I love the feel. They've got a wonderful energy. They bring such a nice energy. And it's really natural. It's really there. So it's finding that common ground where we can not only talk, but listen as well, because that is a big, big thing. To be able to listen. I hear some things and I'm like, okay, I don't quite understand that. I don't get that. I'm not saying it's wrong or right, but it's just, I don't know. It's easy as that. I just don't know. Excuse me when I sit up. Oh, that's better. So, interacting with the different age groups. Do we look at, as I say, I'm not going to go down the road of being negative about things because that doesn't achieve anything. But could we, for example, look at within our various churches and centres of setting up a youth night? But then we've got to design that youth night around the age group that we're going for. So that will include the speakers or the demonstrators or the format of the night, the whole layout of the night. How do we reach that target audience? There's an awful lot of work there, but it's good work. It is. It's good work. Belinda, interest in psychic development is a great step toward developing as a medium. Excuse me, hiccup. wonderful that there's movement in this direction. It is. It's really good. Excuse me, one moment. That lozenge is horrible. And I've started 2 courses here at Paul this week. One is psychic, one is beginner's psychic, one is beginner's mediumship. And the beginner's psychic has generated so much interest. And it's a very useful tool, because I was saying to people, if you've never experienced anything like this, try the psychic course. There's some very good reasoning in my head about this. And if you disagree, please let me know. Everybody to a degree has got a level of psychic ability, because we all have gut feeling, we all have instinct, we all have that understanding, that sense. And when you work, especially with people who've never sort of experienced any form of working with those faculties, you can get confirmation fairly smoothly and fairly quickly. What are I doing with them? Gosh, I can't remember. Oh, the really old one, of trying to sense the aura with everybody and working together on that and just getting, I can feel something. So it's a good positive reinforcement for people. That wasn't it, the whole course, honestly. There's other things we did, and there's other things coming up, working with colour, working with pendulums, working with all sorts of tools. And I always emphasize a tool is just a tool. All right, it's only something to take the focus away. Please don't get attached to your tools. It irritates me. Oh, I can only work with these cards. Okay, well, I'm going to hide those cards. What are you going to do now? So the psychic one is, it's a really good starter pack for people. Julie, good evening. Nick, Matthew, Matt, lovely Matt. I'd love to hear more philosophy for navigating the complexities of modern life. Whenever I do, I feel such upliftment. That would also perhaps draw in more people and the younger generation too. Really true. I'm a bit pedantic about the words that we use. So whenever I'm using the term mediumship, I mean it's in its generic format. So healing medium, philosophical medium, evidential medium, whatever medium. Mediumship covers a whole range of abilities. And definitely for the philosophy, because always the philosophy is the message for everybody. It's such a potent tool, and it engages people. We have the phenomena of evidential mediumship, which has its place. It has its purpose. It has its place. That will grab people's attention. It can be quite short-lived. But a well-constructed, well-delivered philosophical address, talk, conversation will actually get people going out with this whirring going on, this thinking about it. And the more we think about things, the more we engage with it and the more comfortable we feel with it. And then after a time, it actually becomes part of our nature to be like that. Evidential mediumship, yes, you can keep giving the evidence, you can keep bringing through all those connections, communications, but what can happen is that people just turn into a message junkie, and every time they go to church, get a message, go again, get a message, go again, get a message. But then it turns from actually engaging them to, I'd like something a bit different, or I want a bit more about it, or I want to hear from Aunt Bertha, and then the focus becomes on the phenomena of evidential mediumship. Don't know how many people saw it. We did our first service of the year with the wonderful Stephen Maker. Stephen chaired and I was demonstrating. And it was a slant on the divine service. This was inspired. We had a Lyceum in December, and there's a lovely lady from Holland who put a comment in. Funnily enough, similar energy, talking about churches and different generations. And she said something really interesting. She said, the format of a divine service isn't appealing to younger people. And she's mum and kids of all age ranges. So I just said to her, okay, well, what would? Put together. And she did. She put together a thing about a divine service. And I showed it to Stephen. And he went, I really like that. And I said, so do I. Should we do it? He went, yeah. So I'll quickly run over the format of it. Beginning, as is, introduction, opening prayers, intents, healing. But then it was straight into the mediumship. Did the mediumship, the evidential mediumship. And then Stephen was talking about the messages that were given, and he was sort of like dissecting them. And he was saying, well, you know, this was said, and that is a shared memory because that is a memory they have with you on the earth plane. And he said, but then he went on to talk about this. Now, this happened after they passed. So this is demonstrating that continuity of life, that the awareness of the spirit is up to date, it's current. It didn't, you know, the memories didn't stop when they died. The memories live on, and the memories continue to grow as they live on because they are there. They are part of our life. And there was a bit of a general discussion, and he asked a question about, has anybody had a message and you just gone, no, I don't understand it. And then, through whatever reason, it's sort of like gone, oh my God, yes. Or it's been confirmed by a third party. You had no knowledge of it. And then we finish on the philosophy. And I'll tell you what. After that service, the conversations in the Esmeralda, and she's in the room tonight. Well done, darling. Thank you, Esmeralda. She was the one that suggested its service format. The conversations in the church after the service were really interesting. They were really thoughtful. They were really inquiring. They were, and you know, the philosophy had done its job, and that was something really to be. I was like, I'm fascinated by this because this is a whole different energy to after a service. Without being disrespectful, I'm not disrespectful. If I'm going to be disrespectful, you will know it. Trust me. People say to me, "Oh, I'll upset you," and I go, yeah, if you had, you would know it. I don't hide things. After a regular, oh, that was a lovely service, wasn't it? Oh, yes. Oh, you had the message. That was nice. Oh, yes, thank you. And that's it. That's the conversation in the main. Not everybody, obviously, but in the main. But after that service, people were really engaging with stuff and asking about things. And I thought, I like this. I really like this. I like this level of engagement. There's Geraldine there, and said it was a lovely idea and service, and it did. You see the presentation of it on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you've seen it, and that's one thing, and it's quite powerful there. But let me assure you, in the church, that effect was very much amplified. Because leaving the philosophy to last, and the spirit was just wonderful with what was said. I just stood there and opened my mouth and started talking, and I had a clue. I didn't have a Scooby what was going on, but it was really interesting. and it was really thought-provoking. And that's the energy we left people on at the end of the service. So people are going out with their minds whirring, their minds sort of really engaging with something tangible they can get to grips with, not the intangible of, oh, well, he did that, man. Yeah, the message wasn't too bad. He did say she had size 7 feet, but she didn't. She had 6.5. You know, and this is a natural human thing that happens. Jodie, oh, yeah, that's right. You were here, Jodie. Jodie said, it's a great service. Lovely Gail saying hi. Hi, Gail. Lovely Roy, who is with us tomorrow. Variety is the spice of life. Be careful what you say, Roy, because you're doing the service here at Paul tomorrow. You never know what may change. Love you, Roy. But yeah, it's just interesting. Another conversation I had with a medium recently, and you know when you have a conversation and it just happens, it just comes out. And I thought afterwards, I sort of like examined what was being said on both sides, and I thought, that's interesting. Medium was talking about, you know, several churches, centres and all that, and they're really struggling with workshops and courses and circles. Struggling as in getting the attendance. Well, number one, it's a very hard world out there. We were very fortunate, Paul. We would advertise a course and it would fill up. Now it's hard work to get people in. And I get it, because I'm not insulated from, you know, the energy bills, the food bills, the cat bills. Are you listening? Don't you dare get sick. You know, it's a very hard world. But just went into something with it and said, well, you know, sometimes it's very difficult, because if you've got a church or a centre or group that's not constantly, actively promoting education. I know a lot of you have probably seen me on when introducing the services, and this wasn't an intent. This was a development of mine. We'd talk about, you know, I'd try and highlight things. The healing intro, you know, I always start off saying about, you know, healing isn't a special gift for a few. It's you. It's all about you. When you keep on with that educational side with your audience, congregation, whatever your terminology is, you're going to foster that thirst for knowledge. If you don't, if you survive by, next week we've got another dem of mediumship, followed by a dem of mediumship, and then the week after there's a dem of mediumship, and then there's another dem of mediumship, you're not creating that fertile ground for growth. You know, and if your whole aspect and view, and again, I'm not being negative or pointed or nasty, if your whole focus and aspect is just putting on another dem of mediumship, then don't be surprised if you think, oh, we'll do a workshop, that you don't get many people to it, because you're not encouraging that education. And to suddenly bring it out of the blue, it's not going to have much pull, because you've actually educated everybody in your place just to go for the messages. So, yeah, very difficult. Sorry, disturbed the cat. So, you lovely people out there, we've got a nice little crowd in, and we've got some beautiful people. Just what's your thoughts about expanding on spiritualism? How can we, as a movement, as an organisation, as a church or a centre or a group, how can we foster that growth? I'd be really interested to hear some of your viewpoints on that. We are seeing quite a few groups, centres closing down. And my heart goes out to them because, if you're hiring a hall, the average now is probably about 45 quid. You're going to pay your medium, say, 25. So you're looking at 40, 60, 70 pounds outlay to warrant opening. And unfortunately, a lot of people are still very stuck in the mindset of the 1980s, 1990s of how much to put in a collection plate. I'm not having a dig, but it is there. It is there. With a divine service, you can't put a set fee on there. If you are a charity or a church, you must have one service a month minimum, where your philosophy and teachings are openly demonstrated, talked about, discussed, or whatever, and there must be no block on people coming in, i.e. an admission fee. But where we've got churches and centres opening up and working out of hired premises, my heart really goes out to them to gently bring in this, we all know money's gone mad. It's not good. It's not right. It's not good. We know that. But we've also got to be mindful that everybody's in that boat. And I had it here, we used to do a Wednesday den many years ago, 4 years ago, no, 5 years ago. And that had been an institution in the church. The world changed, so did attendances, and the Wednesdays just dwindled in numbers and in revenue. You've got to pay the bills. Every time I turn the lights on, the water on, the heating on, it's racking up the bills. And it became a constant, and it wasn't even a lost leader. It was just people coming in more out of habit, I suppose, than anything. So we stopped doing the Wednesday services. And even now, I think the latest one was just before Christmas saying, who have you got on a Wednesday? And I said, what Wednesday? He said, the Wednesday. I said, we don't do that. Oh, but I like them. Yeah, well, we haven't done them for 5 years, and if it's taken you 5 years to realise that we're not doing them, then you're probably not a really good supporter of them, are you? And that's not being nasty, it's just is. Anyway, get me off that soapbox. Because, look at you. Wow. Marion, lovely Marion. Change is constant throughout our lives, or we would stagnate. Very true. Who, what, why begs us to search for answers. Once it was indoctrination, today the young haven't usually had assemblies in school or Sunday school, or as back in the day. That was the conversation today, Marion. Thank you. I remember sitting there cross-legged. God, if I try and sit there cross-legged now, I'd have to get somebody in to pick me up. Hence, they are probably more open-minded to possibilities without the old hang-ups. Real change comes when we work on understanding ourselves and our true nature. Spiritualism encourages personal exploration, which is refreshing. Marianne, you are singing out of my songbook, or I'm singing from your songbook, whichever way it is. Personal development to me is paramount. We've got some beautiful people, wonderful people, and we get hung up on making people a medium, making people a healer, whatever. It's about just getting the potential out of these people. Today, one of our newer healers came to us to learn mediumship. And when he came and we sat and we had a talk before joining the course, and a couple of times in the course, I'm looking at him going, healer, healer, healer. I don't want to push anybody down a route, but I will sort of like open doors and just say, have you thought about this? Anyway, in the mediumship course, because this was so strong, I thought, right, tonight we're going to work with healing so you understand different forms of mediumship. Really good little evening, actually. It worked very, very well. And at the end of the evening, this person stepped forward and went, I think I'm a healer. I was so comfortable and I felt and saw things that I haven't ever before. And I think that's great. Because it's finding that flower within and giving it that room to bloom and flourish, and not sort of constrain it, not, saying, no, you're going to be a medium. And we do, don't we? I've seen it, and I think I'm probably guilty of it myself in the past. Medium, healer, medium, healer, medium. And we don't look beyond that. It's just about being a good person. One of our attendees for mediumship courses is going on now to become a celebrant, which is brilliant. I don't want to do the mediumship, but I've found because we can instigate that change, we can bring out that hidden gem in people as long as we allow it, as long as we allow that to happen and not, we do, don't we? We fence people in. So yes, Marion, personal development, my absolute theme. Stephen, the lovely Stephen Maker. I think young people want the spiritual sciences, these layers of education that were missed at school, which is what my part of the legacy program will be about. Wonderful. Talk about that in a moment. Mediumship is a natural gift. It's an art, a craft, rather than a solid science. But like any artist, grounding in good theory enhances that natural gift. But in spiritualism, as it is, the sciences are ignored for the practices of the art. Yeah. Very true. Stephen there talking about the legacy program, which is kicking off on the 16th of March here. And it's about personal development. So thank you, Marion. Thank you, Stephen. It is about bringing in that knowledge, that foundational level knowledge, not about mediumship of any form. It's not to let you practice your mediumship. And I hate that word practice. We don't practice mediumship. We do mediumship. We do mediumship. The outcome is dependent on what our wants and thoughts about it are. It happens. That communication happens, but because it doesn't happen in the way that we wanted to, we think we failed, and that's nonsense. We never fail. We just don't achieve our expectations. But anyway, getting back to the legacy side, and the name legacy, I was just sat here and I was thinking about this program. I was thinking about, the tutors to take us on this journey, and these names are coming forward, and I'm like, what can I call it? And the name legacy just dropped in, and I went, oh, I like that. That's what. And then I went, I'm not dying, am I? I have a laugh in my teeth. Not on my way out. But everything we do is a legacy. And if we look at that, and if we really sort of like take on the length and breadth of what we do, what we bring to people, what people take from us, it's all a legacy. So this course is designed to, we've got 2 psychologists signed up for it, not mediums, not interested in mediumship. In fact, they were very insistent. They said, "Is this about mediumship?" I said, "No, it's about you." "You sure?" I said, "Yes, it's about you." And the reflection, it gives you a solid grounding. So Stephen is going to be working with the sciences like that. And yes, it is scientific. The sciences, and especially around the philosophical and going back, and all sorts of aspects to do with philosophy. I'm looking forward to it, and I know it's really going to stretch your mind. We've got the wonderful David Powell, who will be working on the healing aspects of everything we do, how we are with ourselves and healing, not just the hands-on. It's about healing in general in our voice, our word, our deed, our thoughts. And then we have Lindsay Percival, who is a psychotherapist. And she'll be talking about working, with the alter ego, dark side, shadow work, things like that. So it's all about pure self-development. Where you take that afterwards, whatever field, it's going to be great because it gives you a nice solid grounding. So if you are going to carry on with your evidential mediumship, brilliant. If you are going to carry on like the two psychologists with their work, brilliant. It's about you, because that's the ability we have and we so often overlook. It's about everything should come back to us. I have a disagreement with somebody. I'm really good at doing this now. So I'll have a row with somebody, which is probably every other day. No, it's not. But there'll be a disagreement. And instead of me going, well, they don't know, and they don't, and they, and pushing it away, I go, why am I getting upset over this? What is it that's triggering me? Am I seeing a reflection of me in this situation? I don't know, but it does bring it back to self. So, as Stephen adds there, the psychologists will be very interested in the interplay between left brain and right brain symbolism. No politics involved, just our pure expression. I know, Stephen, I know what you're going to bring to the table is going to be challenging, and that's brilliant. That is brilliant. When I start the courses here, the circle courses, I always start with the same line because I'm boring. And just say, listen, if you come somewhere where I'm going to pat you on your head and tell you, aren't you wonderful, you're really in the wrong place. That's not going to happen. If you are good, I'll tell you you're good. But I'm not just going to do it off, oh, yes. Oh, aren't you? Oh, that was wonderful. Oh, yes. I said, because you never learn. You will never grow. You will never learn in that environment. People do that in courses. I've seen it. I've endured it myself, where everybody's fantastic. And I'm just sat there going, am I in the same room? I don't understand what's going on here. And of course, I want everybody to be happy in my course, so they're going to book up for my next course. Sorry, but that's what happens. Oh, gosh. Sorry, I'm getting right behind the comments here. Lovely Rish, how are you, darling? Love the sound, purpose, and feel of the legacy program. It's going to be really good. And I'm not saying that because we're doing it. I'm not saying that to try and sell spaces on it, because I know the right people will be there because it will call to them. All right? I can put whatever plate in front of you, but this course, actually, there was one person today that picked up the blurb on it and they went, that sounds really interesting. I want to know more. So they're going to pop into church sometime this week and we can sit down and have a chat and find out what they're looking for, because that's really important. We tend not to do that. We just sell a package to somebody irrespective of, well, actually, what are you looking for? And that came today, actually, very much to the fore, with meeting people outside of the church atmosphere and environment in that neutral ground. And people were asking about learning. And it's this natural question to say, well, what are you looking to learn? where are you searching? Because the more you understand what people are searching for, the more able you are to direct them in hopefully the right direction. Be it, actually, I directed somebody to another organisation today, not because I didn't like them, but what they were looking for. I said, you know what, if you look into these people, I think you may well find something there that's going to make your soul sing, and that's great, absolutely great. You cannot die, Lawry, impossible. I know, I've got a list of people I'm going to haunt. It's great. Lovely Craig. Hello, Craig. Mr. Morris, nice to see you. I hope you had a lovely time over in Hayling Island. Were you recently in Southampton? Reesh, how do you sign up? Contact me, my darling. Drop me a message. I will send you all the blurb on it. Marion, sounds wonderful. Thank you. Reesh, Lawry, we are great. Thank you. We are great. You have my curiosity. That's wonderful. I did matchmaking today. I'm terrible. One of our wonderful students, and two of our wonderful students. One is really nice lady. She's great fun, everything. She's on her own at the moment. Another one, her son, he's a really nice guy as well. And I was going, have you ever met her son? And they're looking at me going, what are you doing? I went, nothing. But he's really nice. Matchmaking. I'm sorry, I'm going to just go off at a little tangent here because I found this hilarious. And he's on here, Stephen Mager, and he's in a message to me, because we do message quite a lot. But in a message to me, we were talking, and the subject came up with dad energy, not dead, dad energy. And I thought, have I got dad energy? I don't know. I really don't know. And then I spoke to one of our healers, and I said about it. It was sort of a semi-laughing, saying, and they said about me having dad energy. They went, yeah? No, what do you mean, yeah? Well, yeah. That's what we call you. And when going to tell us, I think it's a compliment. I'm taking it as a compliment. That's it. That's fine. Anyway, sorry, I just needed to get that out of the way because that was so funny. So, yes, we have this knowledge, this understanding that we are in connection with everything that was and is and potentially could be. So what are we doing with it? What can we do with it? I'm just posing questions for people, for you to take away and think about. The world today, my mum was, oh God, she was a bugger. She really was. If something was wrong, typical Libran, the scales had to balance. And yeah, she was very outspoken on things. People in those generations were very outspoken. And some degree, today's world, we're made to feel that's a bad thing. But unfortunately, where we used to have activism, we've now got an angry emoticon. And I think that's quite sad that we just sit there going, angry face, angry face. Whereas 20, 30 years ago, people weren't frightened to speak out. They weren't frightened to say things. And again, going back in history with spiritualism, becoming spiritualists and experiencing spiritualism, be it through trance, through physical, through mental mediumship. There were many people within governments and organizations that brought about great change, because through the connection with spirit, the teaching from spirit, their fundamental outlook on life changed. There was great advances in children in the workplace brought about by an ardent spiritualist, because he looked at it and went, this is wrong. But what taught him what was right and what was wrong? I believe very strongly that connection, that conviction, that understanding with the spirit world. Today, we're more focused on, as I say, the phenomena of, oh yeah, he got a name. That was really good. He got a name. And things like that. Well, you know, what's in a name? So yeah, we do. We have so much. We've got so much accessible to us that I think maybe it is time that we looked at this and applied it, you know, and intelligently as well. The spirit world is a world of intelligence, and the spirit world is here and now. This is something that's been bugging me for a little while. The spirit world is here and now, and I hear, again, going back to the language we use. So, you know, I'd ask all of you, when you say things, actually listen to the words that you've just said. It sounds a bit odd, but when you do, you know, oh, I'm just waiting for spirit to come to me. Okay, right. Number one, you've just built in this barrier between you and spirit. Your mind is now separated. You know, I'm sat here, I'm waiting for spirit to come to me. I am now in this subservient state, and I am hoping, praying, and crossing everything that I can that somebody will come through and start to tell me things to repeat. So again, it's this subservience in our work with the spirit. And, you know, when you take apart some of these statements, it's quite interesting of what we're telling ourselves. So, as I say, take that statement, I'm waiting for spirit to come. You've built a distance. You've built a separation in. You've also built yourself into subservience. You know, please, we've all done that, haven't we? Please be there. Please. But some of these very simple, seemingly innocuous things that we say, when you actually deconstruct it, can be quite damaging. Unintentionally. But we're working with energy. We are energy. We are working with energy. And we're creating that energy. So when we come out of these lines of, oh, I'm just sat here waiting for spirit to come to me, you've just created all those negative sides in what you've just said, very innocently and innocuously. So constant improvement. Constant... Oh, no, sorry, I thought she was getting up then. No, it was just a stretch. No. Constant improvement in what we do. Don't be afraid to take apart some of the things we say and just look at it in a different light. Just look at it and try and understand. As I say, I always think, you know, a lot of people have spirit like that. They have this distance. It's like a balloon at the end of your arm. It's not. It's here now. It's understanding now. It's bringing that in. Yeah, there's so many little things that we say. Lawrence, shut up. Right, Stephen, as we're saying, I had a moment with mental Sue when she took me out on the platform with her for the first time. It was over in a few moments, but will stay with me all my days. It's great. Today, it was just a joy to present 5 beautiful people working very individually with their mediumship, their evidential mediumship, in a theatre, on a stage, in front of, and there's a good over 100 people there. They were bringing chairs out left, right, and centre, and I'm not exaggerating. There are photos. They all had a wow moment. We also had that wonderful time of talking afterwards, and saying about the delivery, not destructive, because we can be very unintentionally destructive, but actually deconstructing what was going on. It wasn't today, but something I've had in the past and a couple of times with people is we tend to get so tensed up in getting information because that's our sole job. Yeah, right, I'm here. I've got to get more information. I've got to get all this stuff because that's why I'm here. I'm a medium. I've got to do that. Why do we put ourselves under this hideous pressure when we work? It's awful. Understandable when you're fairly new out on the road. I get it, and I've done it. God, I used to feel so sick when I used to get up and work. I was like that far away from throwing up every time. Only because of the pressure I'm putting on myself. And my solar plex pressure is a really bad ingredient with it. Anyway, and it was trying to get that evidence, and then you become what I call unintentionally a bulldozer medium. And I'm sure we've all seen these type of mediums. They would just fire all this information at you, and it is like being in a shooting gallery because there's all this stuff just coming at you, and you don't have time to process it. Or you may just hear one thing that you don't recognise, and they latch on to that. They being the sitter. They will latch on to, oh no, it was size 7 shoes, not 6.5. And that's all they will remember. But then we drift to the other side where we use the language of, do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand? And I say to people, you turn that into then more like an interrogation. And you're also reliant then on the validation of the sitter for what you've just said. Because if I say to you, cat goddess, come on, let's try this live online. There'll be quite a pause before the response. You've got, even though you've got the name cat goddess on there, there is a dog associated with you. But I believe this was your mother's dog. And that's in spirit. Do you understand that? Now, in real life, in real time, we've got quite a long delay between me saying something, you hearing it, and you typing the response. So we'll put that to one side. But in real time, what I've just done there is, do you understand? Now, me as a medium, in my mind, what's going on is, I've asked you a question, I'm waiting for you to respond, and I can't do anything until you've given me permission by the correct, by saying, yes, that's correct, to carry on. Again, it's just in simple wordage. So when you say, do you understand? Do you understand? You're asking the question. So I always teach to turn that around and say, you would understand. You're not asking a direct question. There is that pause, that moment where the sitter recipient can say, yes, I do, which is wonderful. But it's not necessary because you've made a statement. And giving a statement, you can move your mediumship on because you're not sat there waiting for that validation of what you've just said. And the worst thing is, do you understand so-and-so? No, I don't. And then it starts to rapidly fall apart, especially in the novice. The mind straight in. Oh my God, I've got it wrong. Oh no, what am I going to do? Quick, run away. Yeah. So it's all about language. And I'm not an expert on it by any means, but I do a lot of work of actually really trying to listen to what people are saying. And more often than not, what they're saying is not the words that they've spoken, if that makes sense. It's fascinating. But anyway, on the bright side, we have some wonderful, eloquent, beautiful demonstrators of all facets of mediumship, be it evidential. There is a lot of good out there. Yes, we've got the pioneers. Yes, they set a wonderful standard and example of their day. But as I say, I'll finish up on the question I asked right at the beginning. Do you think that Gordon Higginson, to name just one, just wants people today to repeat what they did yesterday? Do you not think the pioneers would want the people of today be better? When I teach, I don't want people to be as good as me. I want people to be better than me. I have no problems with that. Or the best that they can be. But I don't want to fit people in a mold. Anyway, last few comments here. Oops, sorry. Angry cat. That'll be me not getting up in the morning because the cat's sleeping on my face. Roy, we never forget our first service or presentation. Nerve-wracking, but so rewarding. Yeah. My first one was with my mentor, Margaret Clawn. God, she was hard. She was a really old school medium. She was hard as nails. Right northerner too. And yeah, did I get a dressing down afterwards? Because she highlighted everything that I'd done wrong. Bloody wonder I continued after that night. But yeah, I did it. And I went back for more. Stephen, even after 10 years out on the platform, I still haven't ironed out the do you understand bit because I need reassurance out of fear. Yeah, it's true. And I said to somebody today that highlighted that, you would understand this. And he said, I know that, but I just panicked. It comes. We need to get people to relax into their mediumship. Roy McKay, I'm sure he's talking about Gordon Higginson here, wants us to explore all aspects of spiritualism. So true. They want to see growth. They spent their whole lives preparing a fertile ground for growth. So do you not think that they still want that today? Because I think they do. And in fact, in a couple of times, I've had evidence that they do, which has been remarkable and wonderful. So, starting off with what am I going to talk about for an hour? Here we are, an hour and 10 minutes later, and I'm still not running out of steam, but I really do need to go. Because it was a very, very long day today, and tomorrow is going to be very, very long. And I've got a little pussy cat here. There she is, fast asleep. Oh, no, not fast asleep now. And I've dropped my mouse, and I can't see the screen because something's dropped down. Tra-la-la. Thank you, everybody. I hope there's things in tonight which will, promote thought, because that's what we should be. We should always leave with that energy of, but what about? And have a think about it. Have a wonderful night. Don't forget, you can see our service live tomorrow. 11 o'clock GMT on Facebook, YouTube. We have a wonderful medium tomorrow. The lovely Roy McKay, who's been in the room tonight and was with us today on the platform over at the MBS show. So thank you, Roy. Thank you so much. And we will be back next Saturday at 7 p.m. with, what month are we in? We're in February. Oh, it's Valentine's Day. Oh, I wonder who I can get for that. So that'd be good. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Been a wonderful pleasure, and we will see each other again soon. So have a safe night, lay off the rum, and enjoy yourselves. Good night, everyone.